Yeah,
Okay.
here it is.
10-minute meeting? 5 minutes. Good evening. I'd like to call the Monday, May 20th, 2013 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. We have one item on the agenda, which is the Mass Works Route 119 I-495 funding change orders. I think we'll stick with tradition and we can do the pledge quick before we... I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Chicken Jim. All dressed up too.
There we go. All right. So we're in session and on the air. So, okay.
Keith, did you want to go with start with
Sure.
the-
Yeah. At our meeting last week, we received an update from Sam Park on how the Point project was going, and talked about the MassWorks schedule as well. And what we said a week ago is that we were nearing the point where we were ready to bring forward change orders on the MassWorks project. And as soon as we would call the board and ask you to convene a special meeting. So here we are tonight, that there are change orders in front of you which reflect a common understanding between our project manager, Land Strategies, and the contractor, Onyx, for the remaining work to be done. And we have about $199,000 in change orders to the Onyx contract, which we're asking you to approve. Before so doing, though, and we want to get your authorizing vote on those change orders. Before doing that, though, we also want to get your authorizing vote on an amendment to our contract with Littleton Commercial Investments, Inc., which is or LLC rather, which is the developer that Sam Park is the principal. And we first need to receive and accept a further gift of funds sufficient to cover that change order, plus an amount sufficient to cover the police details, which total $100,000. That includes work that's actually been done up till now, for which we need to receive the funds from Sam. And it's splits that we've undertaken about the 68,000, with the remainder is police detail work, which we are going to be undertaking. So it's an authorizing vote to amend the COA to accept the additional funds from SAM to cover the change order and the police details. That's the first item. Second item is then to authorize approval of the change order. And I don't know if Peter Katrubis, who's here, wants to just maybe briefly describe what the change order work is for the board's information.
The change orders basically are 4 or 5 items. There's a significant change over at the IBM driveway. There's a drainage outfall that comes from the IBM property onto the state land. And it was originally designed to be closed drainage because we were widening the roadway there. So it was going to be piped and then covered over, and it was going to become part of the roadway. Well, it turns out the state, in their wisdom, decided they did not want closed drainage. They want to be able to observe the flow from IBM in the event that it ever gets polluted. They want to be able to identify the pollution source. So what that forced us to do is to relocate the existing swale, do away with the proposed closed drainage, and we're going to build a retaining wall now, once the swale is moved, to support the widening of the roadway. So the net changes there are roughly $59,000. There were some miscellaneous items that are quite minor, but they add up to another $15,000. There was a significant change in the traffic signal design. Again, the state decided that instead of having 4 lanes crossing the bridge, that they preferred to have 3, so it would leave sufficient room on either side for a bicycle shoulder. And the 3 lanes were 2 lanes going westbound and 1 lane going eastbound. And they had 2 lanes approaching eastbound from Constitution Avenue, plus the southbound off-ramp. So there were 3 lanes merging into 1. They decided that they would prefer to have that ramp signalized. So the additional signal work, which includes a new traffic signal mast arm at the ramp, plus a lot of conduit and cable and so forth, that's another $138,000. And they decided also on the southbound off-ramp that they would like a Q detector. The Q detector is way down the ramp. It's a loop detector in the roadway, and what it will detect is if traffic backs up on the ramp and reaches that detector, it will then make the signal go green so the ramp can clear out and not back up onto 495. And the additional work that was involved in that, I guess that's lumped in, I'm sorry, that's lumped into the $138,000, but what that forced was the entire ramp being cold planed and paved. So there's an additional $22,000 in paving there. And finally, there were 2 credits. There was a credit of $74,190 for things that were deleted. That included some changes in the drainage where what were supposed to be catch basins were changed into drop inlets where there's just a cut in the curb to allow the drainage to go in. And there was some reduced lengths of pipe. The net credit was $74,000. And we converted from a proposed underground wiring system across Constitution Avenue that was going to carry Verizon, Littleton Electric Lights cables, and Comcast. As we went forward, the cumulative costs for that were extremely high. So we went back to an overhead system. And the credit that was involved for the conduit bank, a large manhole that Littleton Electric Light had specified, there was a $160,000 credit. And finally, the last item was when we opened up the pavement in the area of Constitution Avenue, the material that was underneath was unsuitable, did not meet state specifications, even though that roadway was originally built by the state. The gravel that was there had too many fines in it. So it had to be removed to a depth of 4 feet, and 4 feet of new material had to be brought in. And that was an extra of $197,976. So all of these items added together with the credits deleted total $199,698. That's basically how we got to that number.
Okay.
And as you recall, the basic financial arrangement is that we had a $1.8 million grant, which we have to expend all the funds by June of this year, which we will do, and that the remainder, right now we had awarded a $2.3 million contract to Onyx. This increases the value to about $2.5 million, and the difference between 1.8 and whatever the total is paid for by the developer, who was also paid for the engineering design and all of the other costs.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So you've taken care of the southbound lane. What happens if the northbound lane gets backed up? Do we
Oh,
Just
the
let that go
northbound
on?
lane has that
Oh, it already has?
detector also.
I
yes.
got you, all right.
Yes. The reason I mentioned the southbound lane only is the southbound lane resurfacing is included in this extra.
Oh, I got you, okay. So the north and south will have that detection, so.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Alex, any questions?
Nope. Just, you had mentioned overhead wiring.
Yes.
How far does that go down Constitution Ave, or does it finally go underground?
The system as it was originally designed, the problem that we ran into in the original design was in order to bridge Constitution Avenue, Savas had to place a pole in the Delta Islands that were in the middle. Constitution Avenue has been widened out significantly. I'm sure you've all seen it. The islands would have each had a pole in them, and they would have been either guide poles or they would have had push poles at an angle supporting them. And the thought initially was that that was aesthetically undesirable at the main entrance to the point. So we designed it to go underground, and Savas was pretty much in favor of that as well. Where the whole thing fell apart is when we approached Verizon for a cost to go underground. Verizon wanted $660,000 for labor and materials, and they wanted us to build a conduit system that was worth another $150,000. So it was about $750,000 just to take Verizon underground. And then it was roughly $300,000 to take Littleton Light underground. So you're talking over $1 million, and we were only going to be underground from roughly the Chase Farm property to the far side of Constitution Avenue. So we value engineered it, and we realized about a $500,000 savings by staying overhead, but changing from conventional utility poles to poles that do not need to be guide or push pole supported. These are laminated wood poles, and they're worth roughly $100,000 for 5 of them. We're buying an extra for Savas, so should one of them get damaged, he has a spare on hand, because these are unique poles. And we're bringing them up Constitution Avenue at an angle to the point where the roadway is narrower, so we can bridge the roadway without putting poles in those islands. So it's still about a $400 and some odd thousand effort, but it reduced the overall cost from a little over $1 million to about $500,000.
Thank you, Marbell.
So I'd love to sit here and talk about,
That's a tough company.
Value engineering.
I'd like to sit here and talk about fully actuated signals and things like that, but I won't bore the board here. I just wondering, Jim, do you have any comments? Are you on board with all this? You've been following it?
Thank you for meeting tonight to get this going again.
Okay. And do we have any type of recommendation letter or approval letter from Land Strategy saying that they approve these change orders? I know we see the change order requests and summary, but is there anything from them?
Peter's cover email.
Yeah, we actually negotiated these
Yeah.
changes with Onyx Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, it was a difficult negotiation because some of the items were not in the contract, so there was no established price. So it was a give and take on both sides. There were a few items that were established unit prices, and those we've stayed with the unit price. But there were a number of items that we had to negotiate. And Onyx, in turn, had to go back and negotiate with their traffic signal subcontractor. And we finally reached a number that was mutually acceptable.
Okay. You mentioned, Keith, $100,000 in police detail. That's like a
Yes.
nice round number, so if it comes out more or less, can we expect a
Yeah.
balancing change order at some
Yes,
point?
if the funds are unexpended, then they go back to the developer.
Okay. And then the one last thing that I think is very important to summarize is even though we are looking at $200,000 in change order, this is a net zero to the town because the town is, because we are executing an amendment to the grant, or to the money from Sam Park,
Yes,
that's gonna cover
there's,
this. So
yes,
this is
the,
still net zero.
the town's contribution for this project remains at
Yeah,
zero,
okay.
because it was state money at $1.8 million for the grant,
Mhm.
together with the funds from the developer.
Okay,
Which is the conduit.
Yeah, we're,
Perfect. Ready for a motion then,
yeah,
Mr.
thank you,
Chair?
yes.
could I just make, in looking at the motion, I see it should, on 1A, it should say to authorize the town administrator to sign, because I see that the form of the agreement has my signature on it, as does 1B,
Who signed the original contract?
the town administrator signed though.
Yeah. So it's a vote to, just like this one,
Execute.
to authorize the town administrator to execute.
Yeah. All right. Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to execute and amend the memorandum.
That's the town administrator has to vote.
Yeah, vote to authorize
Vote
the
to
town
authorize the
administrator to
town administrator to
execute.
execute.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Move that the town administrator, no, the Board of Selectmen vote to allow the town administrator to execute the amended memorandum agreement with Littleton Commercial Investments LLC, the developer, which sets forth the agreement between the town and the developer with respect to the developer's construction of a mixed-use commercial development on Constitution Avenue, and the town's construction of the Mass Works Route 119 Great Road I-495 Interchange Traffic Mitigation Project, and to receive a further gift of $299,698 from Littleton Commercial Investments LLC, to be deposited in a special gift fund established by the voter Board of Selectmen on May 14, 2012, to fund said project.
Second.
And moved and seconded to revise the MOA with Littleton Commercial Investments LLC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Ready for the next one,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair? Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the town administrator to execute change orders in the amount of $199,698 for the Mass Works Project 119 Great Road Y-495 Interchange Mitigation Project with Onyx Corporation of Acton.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to amend to authorize the town administrator to execute change orders. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Peter. Thank you, Jim.
We don't have
Thank you,
anything
Bonnie.
to sign, right?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Great. So
Yeah, see you later.
we'll settle up. Thank you.
Fairly quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah, they all aren't like this. The person